Hey folks, welcome to round 1 of my store championship tournament for 2026. In case you missed the preparation video or have since forgotten, here are the specifics of the format. 425 points, 18 figure limit, contemporary only, and the rule of 11 is in effect. I'm bringing the Crimson Widow, Savaris, the Kraken, and the Knaves of the Silver Scimitar. My opponent for this match is bringing Sonlin, Raylan 4.0, and 2 copies of the Scions of Icaria. Now, a little bit of backstory here. My opponent and I actually faced off during one of our exhibition games at one of the tournament training events that I held. We played these exact same armies into each other, and I lost really badly. Here's what happened. I won initiative, so I moved Savaris forward and took a pot shot at Sonlin in my opponent's start zone. I was able to do a couple of wounds, but this triggered Raylan's Vengeance Aura, and she came in and dealt a wound back to Savaris. My opponent's number 1 was on Sonlin, who then flew forward, rolled 4 out of 4 skulls, and instantly nuked Savaris, killing my next 2 order markers. Raylan was then my opponent's number 2, who flew into my start zone and started whirlwind attacking my knaves, and it was all over. And in just a couple of order markers, I was completely defeated. So I vowed not to let that happen again in this game. So here we are on the map Frostfall, and yes, before you ask, that is an authentic 1989 Star Trek V The Final Frontier t-shirt I'm wearing. There are 2 glyphs on this map, Yodolkia to the west, that gives your army the disengage power, and Loden to the east, that gives your army +1 to any d20 rolls. Now, in this tournament, there was actually a fairly sizable map pool. There were 8 maps total that we could draw from, and normally I put in a lot of time in preparation, training with my army before the event, and I did so here as well, but I just didn't have a chance to train on every single map, and this map here was one of the ones that I didn't have a chance to really sit down and figure out where I wanted everything to go in the start zone. Ultimately, what I decided to do was to set Savaris next to high ground so that when I reveal order marker 1 on him, I can place the Kraken tentacle up a level there. So that can just help it survive any attacks that might come from that same level without giving my opponent a height advantage. The way that I'm running this army is I'm putting order markers 1, 2, and 3 on Savaris with the X on Crimson Widow. The reason for this is that I want to use Savaris as much as possible to summon Kraken tentacles within round 1, and the X is on Crimson Widow so that in the off chance that it becomes beneficial for me to activate the Kraken, I can do so and still get the +1 attack boost from Crimson Widow. The Kraken's ability to intercept one of your hero's turns once per round is pretty much the paramount ability on that card. It's really what makes the whole thing tick. That being said, I can only activate that if I feel like Savaris is in a safe enough place that I can leave him there for the rest of the round, which is honestly largely nowhere on the map. Savaris is always at risk of being sniped, and in this matchup, Sonlin is my number 1 target. However, I have to learn from my mistakes. I have to single him out once he's outside of Raylan's aura. I won't be taking any shots at anything that's within Raylan's aura, unless it's Raylan herself. That exhibition game was just a massacre, so we can't have a repeat of that here. Anyways, we roll initiative and my opponent wins. Their first order marker is on the Scions, so they move up cautiously. There's 2 Scions in either end kind of flanking out towards the glyphs. Sonlin's moving up very slowly, staying within Raylan's aura, as is this 3rd Scion as well. This is kind of dangerous posturing here because there's really nowhere that I can put Savaris that Sonlin can't get to him next turn, so I'm gonna have to come up with something to do here. On my turn, I reveal order marker 1 on Savaris, which allows me to summon a Kraken tentacle. Now, this is a small thing, but it is something I was considering every single time I summoned one of these things. Basically, the Kraken tentacles all vary in shape and size. Some of them are better for blocking line of sight, and some of them are better for shooting through. So I'm always being cognizant of which Kraken tentacle I'm grabbing from the side of the table to place on the board. In this case, I grabbed one of the bigger ones because I felt like having a little bit of a shield that I could run and hide Savaris behind later on in the game would be more useful than having a barrier that I could shoot through. Anyways, I take Savaris to the east and snipe the Scion that was approaching the glyph there. I'm safe to do this because the Scion was outside of Raylan's aura. To some extent, I'm trying to bait my opponent to bringing Sonlin in really close. I realize that puts Savaris at incredible risk, but if I can manage to survive one shot, one volley, I'll be able to step forward and just mag dump Sonlin and hopefully take him off the board without Raylan around to be present to protect him. Trading a 110-point figure for a 170-point figure, while also making the Scions effectively worthless, is a good trade in my book. As long as I can pull it off, that puts me in a good position. My opponent's order marker number 2 was on the Scions, and they actually retreat Sonlin backwards. They advance up the side of the board, grab the disengage glyph, and kind of posture in a way that I'm going to have to come forward in order to attack Sonlin, and that might expose me to attacks from the Scions as well. That being said, looking at where my opponent's order markers are placed, I'm feeling pretty safe about this decision. There's one order marker on Raylan, but the other order marker isn't on the Scions, it's on Sonlin's card. And so, in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, this makes sense, right? Raylan having order marker number 3 is a really smart place to put order marker number 3, because if I had shot at Sonlin and triggered her jumping in, that she could then go in and do a big whirlwind attack against the Knaves or finish off Savaris or something like that, right? So I'm very confident that order marker number 3 is on Raylan and Sonlin isn't a threat for the rest of the round. With that in mind, I reveal order marker 2 on Savaris, I summon another Kraken Tentacle, and then step a little bit more towards the middle to snipe another Scion. I'm positioning Savaris in a way where I'll have the opportunity to step forward and just dump a bunch of wounds into Sonlin if I get the chance to, but I'm also outside of Raylan's immediate threat range as well. Now, this next order marker for my opponent completely caught me off guard. Order marker number 3 isn't on Raylan, it's actually on Sonlin. It didn't even cross my mind that the order marker on Sonlin could have been real. To me, that seems like such a suboptimal play. Why would you put an order marker on Sonlin when you could instead put a real order marker on the Scions and get to use Sonlin and the Scions because they bond? But it's that sort of optimal thinking that allowed this deception to work. I never would have thought to have done this, which is why I never thought it could be done. So A+ on the order marker psych out here. This was a top play, probably the best play of the game. Unfortunately, I think my opponent does a poor job of capitalizing upon this opportunity that they've created for themselves. They decide to keep Sonlin back in Raylan's aura and just take a ranged shot up into Savaris, rather than doing what I think is the much smarter play here, flying in and getting the double attack with Dragon Assault. Yes, flying in and getting adjacent to Savaris would expose Sonlin to almost utter destruction should he not succeed his attacks, but 9 attack dice coming in on Savaris' piddly 2 defense and 4 life. I think you just got to take a risk like this. You got to swing big, because if you kill Savaris, that kills my order marker 3 and really limits my ability to deal with Sonlin. I think my opponent's just playing a little too conservatively when they can afford to be a little bit more risky with this character. Anyways, Savaris survives this encounter with minor injuries and then proceeds to show why you need to deal with Savaris, and you need to be risky when you do it, because I reveal order marker number 3 and yeah, the board state changes considerably. I summon a third Kraken Tentacle, move Savaris onto height 3 spaces away from Savaris, and declare that I'm reducing my range to 3 to make 3 attacks this turn. My first shot lands and does 3 wounds, and all of a sudden my opponent has a really big decision to make here. Do you fly Raylan in and stop the bloodshed, or do you let Savaris die to keep Raylan safe? My opponent really agonized over this decision because they knew that flying Raylan in would then open her up to 2 more attacks of 4, and that could be devastating for her as well. However, in the end, they decided no, they're going to let Sonlin fall because they wanted to keep Raylan for dealing with the exiles and whatnot with Whirlwind Attack in the late game. I think this is a pretty clear mistake, and they came to learn it was a pretty clear mistake as well, too. Sonlin is by far the more important piece here, and if you're not using Raylan to swoop in and threaten Savaris, then why is she in the army, right? If you're not going to use the aura, then the aura has no effect. Anyways, 2 more volleys go into Sonlin, and Sonlin goes into the dirt. I breathe a sigh of relief because Sonlin is incredibly scary, and now I feel like the game is pretty comfortably in my hands. Going into round 2, I decide to stick to the same game plan. I'm just going to put order markers on Savaris, keep on summoning Kraken tentacles, and then command the Kraken if and when I need to. My opponent splits their order markers 2 and 2 on the Scions and Raylan. We roll initiative, I win initiative, so I get the initiative switch. Order marker 1 is on Savaris. I summon another Kraken tentacle and then step forward and snipe a Scion. I don't want to get too close to Raylan just yet. I want her to come to me since I have the immense range advantage. My opponent reveals order marker 1 on Raylan and wisely moves her behind this line of sight blocker. She's close enough to the Kraken tentacles to actually threaten both of them, so I'm gonna have to come in and deal with her eventually, but I'm okay with letting the Kraken tentacles draw her out if needed. They can be a little bit of the bait, and then I can use Savaris to finish the job. Order marker number 2 is on Savaris. I summon the final Kraken tentacle, then move Savaris close to the Scion on the glyph, and dump a volley of shots into it, eviscerating it. Notably, I think Savaris is actually far enough away from the action now that I can safely command the Kraken next order marker should I need to, so that should help keep him protected until the end game. My opponent's order marker number 2 is on the Scions, and they move forward here, both within Raylan's aura, trying to bait Savaris into taking a shot at one of them, I think, but I'm not falling for that trick. By the way, I think this one down on the bottom here was hiding in the back of the start zone, just as a way to kind of protect the order marker, I guess. So it's come forward, and yeah, we'll see if they're able to do anything to Savaris here. Order marker number 3 is on Savaris, and I decide, well, there's nothing here that I want to take a shot at, so I'm just going to go protect him by moving him 5 spaces towards my start zone. I could tell my opponent was a little taken aback by this. I think they really expected me to just shoot at those Scions and allow Raylan to jump in, but no, I don't see any reason why I need to do that here. I've got the Kraken on the board. I have a ton of board control right now. Yeah, the game is mine to lose, and I don't want to lose it. So they reveal order marker 3 on Raylan and decide, well, guess I gotta go do something, right? So they fly in and attack both Kraken tentacles. Through the 2 attacks, 1 Kraken tentacle is wounded. Setting up for round 3, why mess with a good thing? I put 3 order markers on Savaris and the X on Crimson Widow. My opponent wins initiative this time and reveals order marker 1 on Raylan, who does another whirlwind attack and takes out a Kraken tentacle while wounding the other. Well, this just makes the Kraken angry because on my order marker number 1, I decide, okay, it's time to finally command the Kraken. All of the remaining Kraken tentacles converge on Raylan and take her out. That +1 attack boost from the Crimson Widow turns the Kraken from a nuisance into a serious threat. My opponent's order marker number 2 is on the Scions, who fly in and try to stem the bleeding here. They actually cause a little bit more bleeding by damaging one of the Kraken tentacles, but they aren't able to do much more than that. Now, part of the downside of putting my order markers on Savaris rather than the Kraken is that I can't use the Kraken for the rest of the round now. Savaris reveals the second order marker, and instead I just have to step forward and take a shot up at one of the Scions. The Scion is able to block this shot, though. I think maybe if the board state had been different, I might have considered putting order marker number 2 on the Kraken just to get a little bit more use out of the tentacles here. but, the game is almost a foregone conclusion at this point. I feel that keeping Savaris safe will guarantee me the win. So just keeping order markers on him, allowing him to be in control of the game here in the driver's seat, I think is really important. Also, at the start of the round, there was a distinct possibility that Raylan could have just gone ham on these Kraken tentacles and really chopped them up. She wouldn't have fallen, to only 2 attacks from the Kraken tentacles, most likely, and then she could have attacked many more of them on the following order marker, so that could have run the risk, honestly, of losing my order marker number 2, which would have been bad. So this is the safer play. Just, put order markers on things that are safe if you're winning. So anyways, my opponent reveals order marker 3 on Raylan, and this is a mistake, I think. Well, maybe not this order marker, but the last order marker. I think 2 really needed to be on Raylan as well. At this point in the game, you just kind of have to hope that you make some of those defense rolls, and you just rely solely on the Whirlwind attack to carry you home, but that didn't end up happening. Anyways, I reveal order marker 3 on Savaris, and he just stands his ground and takes the same shot. There's no reason to move forward here. I don't want to put him in harm's way if I can help it. If the initiative switches next round, he could be caught by surprise. Like, there's any number of things that could happen, but nothing can happen if he's standing back here. So we're just gonna take the shot. It goes through this time. Hooray. This leaves my opponent with a single Scion, a wing, and a prayer. The order markers for round 4 are really easy. Don't mess with a good thing. So my opponent rolls initiative and wins. They decide to fly up to height to attack down on a Kraken tentacle, but it doesn't have the intended effect. I then reveal order marker 1 on Savaris, command the Kraken at the start of this new round, and we eliminate the Scion. This allows me to take home the win, and though it kind of looks like a landslide victory here, it didn't have to be. If we rewind back to that moment where the 3rd order marker was placed on Sonlin instead of Raylan, where I thought it would be, if Sonlin had flown in and did the double attack against Savaris and eliminated him there, we'd be looking at a very different game right now. Sometimes you have to just take a little risk, and I think not recognizing the immense threat that Savaris put to my opponent's army was one of their mistakes, I think, in playing this game. They really just needed to focus fire Savaris with everything they've got, take him out early, take him out quickly, and my army just kind of crumbles from there. After the game, my opponent was really lamenting their decision to not send Raylan in to prevent Savaris from killing Sonlin. That was another big decision point, I think, that they made an error there. So they took that lesson and kind of ran with it for the rest of their games throughout the tournament. Unfortunately, though, I think my army was actually one of their best matchups that they could run into in this tournament here, because Sonlin very specifically is threatening for Savaris, very specifically, and having that Raylan support to keep Sonlin safe from Savaris' multi-attack, that's huge. Whereas I think in most games, if you run up against like a common army core or something like that, I don't think Sonlin is going to have the tools needed to pull the win. Speaking of wins, that's our first one, so that's a notch in the belt. We're moving on to round 2.